idea that she was still available at number 10 made the people in the Fever front office, I mean, we know who that is. It's Amber Cox, it's Steph White, it's Kelly Kroskoff. It really made them feel like they needed to take advantage of the situation and the player. And, you know, even though I don't want to get into a lot of the off-course...
That's not the response of a composed basketball expert. That's pure astonishment, a shriek. Sitting solo watching the draft, and the Indiana Fever just executed a selection so bewildering that it triggered an audible outburst. So, what did the Fever do at number 10 that was so jaw-dropping? They picked Raven Johnson, a 5'9" floor general from South Carolina, their third ball handler on a roster that desperately required height.
In college, the year was 2023. It was the women's NCAA tournament, and Iowa was facing off against South Carolina. And Raven Johnson, wide open at the three-point line, gets waved off by Caitlin Clark. Raven Johnson really took that to heart. She even talked about it recently.
It would probably be Caitlin Clark.
Look at how far Caitlin Clark is playing off of Raven Johnson. Caitlin Clark, left side. She doesn't even look at her. Waves her hand as if to say, I don't care about you. I'm not defending you.
That's one reason I hate the internet now. Because of that situation, like I got bashed, I got bullied. I wanted to put basketball.
There it is, the moment that characterized their college competition. March 2023 NCAA tournament, Iowa versus South Carolina. Caitlin Clark is so unbothered by Raven Johnson's shooting capability that she literally dismisses her from 15 feet away, doesn't even bother to defend her, just motions to her teammates, "I'm not concerned about this player." That clip spread across the internet. Raven Johnson spoke about getting harassed online because of it, needing to withdraw from everything. She channeled it as drive, returned for a fifth year, and dramatically elevated her three-point shooting. But here's what makes the Fever's choice so perplexing. This isn't about whether Raven Johnson is skilled. She is. She's a fierce defender. She carries championship experience, and she genuinely did elevate her performance. The question is, does she belong in what Indiana requires right now?
And they signed Myisha Hines-Allen, who is 6'1". Now, Myisha Hines-Allen she is strong. She is definitely going to be having your back. She's a very Sophie Cunningham type enforcer player, but she is again 6'1", which other than AB and Mo Billings, they don't have a lot of length, and Mo Billings is 6'4". So ideally, I was really hoping that Indiana would go out and draft someone.
Look at who the Fever are going up against. The New York Liberty, Breanna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, Satu Sabally, Leonie Fibich. That's a wall of height. The Atlanta Dream just got taller in this draft. The Washington Mystics selected nothing but size. Across the league, franchises are emphasizing length and versatility. The Fever already secured Myisha Hines-Allen in free agency. She's 6'1", a physical presence, a Sophie Cunningham type, but she's not a true center. Beyond Aaliyah Boston and Neely Ivy at 6'4", Indiana lacks shot-blocking protection. So, when they held the 10th pick with prospects like Sedona Prince still available and Cody McMahon on the board, the expectation was straightforward. Go tall. Grab someone who can protect the paint. Instead, they selected a point guard listed at 5'9".
Going up against the likes of teams like New York, who are big. Breanna Stewart, Satu Sabally, Leonie Fibich, Jonquel Jones. Now, Sabrina, she is 6 foot or 6'1", about the same size as Caitlin. So she isn't like an enormous monster or anything like that. But the rest of that team is big. The Atlanta Dream are big. And now the Mystics, all of their drafts are enormous. There's a lot of length that is being valued in the WNBA.
The New York Liberty aren't just tall, they're dominantly tall. Breanna Stewart is a consistent MVP contender. Jonquel Jones is a former MVP. They possess the length to switch everything on defense and the size to overpower smaller teams in the post. When the Fever matched up against them in the playoffs last season, the size gap was glaringly obvious. Caitlin Clark is 6 feet, Kelsey Mitchell is 5'8", and they were getting swallowed up on drives. The solution to that problem isn't adding another undersized guard. It's bringing in someone who can alter shots at the rim and grab boards against those bigger lineups. The Atlanta Dream recognized this. They selected Sedona Prince at number 13. She's 6'5" with legitimate post abilities and defensive potential. That's precisely the kind of player Indiana required. And she was still sitting there at 10.
Raven Johnson, I yelped. I actually yelped. I was sitting home by myself watching the draft and I yelped. It's not because I hate Raven Johnson or anything. I just was shocked. I was very shocked. Raven Johnson is 5'9", and not only is she a point guard, she is now Indiana Fever's third point guard on the roster. And yes, that was an area where they did have a lot of people going down last season, but that was like a once-in-a-lifetime thing to happen to the...
Raven Johnson is now the third point guard on Indiana's roster behind Caitlin Clark and Lexi Hull. Yes, the Fever dealt with injury troubles at guard last season, but that was an outlier. Multiple guards going down simultaneously isn't something you draft for in the lottery. You handle depth concerns in the second round or through free agency. The 10th pick in the draft is supposed to be a foundational rotation piece, someone who addresses a glaring weakness for Indiana. That weakness was interior defense and rebounding, not another ball handler. And consider this from Raven Johnson's perspective. She just captured a national championship at South Carolina. She's a winner, she's battle-tested, and now she's heading to a franchise where she's the third-string point guard behind one of the most ball-dominant players in basketball history. How many minutes is she realistically going to receive? What's her path to meaningful playing time?
See, like, if you guys are on a team together, this is the kind of stuff that gets ironed out. I mean, this is sports. Put on your big girl pants and get out there on the court, you know? That's just how I think about things. But this is more of a front office issue. I was giving the Indiana Fever a bit of the benefit of the doubt with their front office, as it did seem like they were building a team.
Stephanie White attempted to defend it. She spoke about winning, about championship pedigree, about players who understand how to compete together. And those are reasonable words, but they don't tackle the fundamental question. Does this pick make the Indiana Fever better positioned to contend against the Liberty, the Sun, the Aces? Does adding a 5'9" point guard help you guard Brianna Stewart in the post or Jonquel Jones on the boards? The answer is no. And Fever fans recognized it immediately. Social media erupted, not with criticism of Raven Johnson as a player, but with genuine bewilderment about the front office's strategy.
But oh my gosh, the Mystics are enormous. And in the second round, the Indiana Fever did take Justine Pissot. She was a Vanderbilt get, but the Indiana Fever also could have taken Neepkins. And Neepkins ended up going to the Connecticut Sun at number 15. Now, do I think Raven Johnson is a better player than Neepkins? I think that Raven Johnson does add a lot to a team, but just as far as how the Fever built their squad, Neepkins, I think, would have fit a little better as a puzzle piece.
That team now, but oh my gosh, the Mystics are enormous. And in the second round, the Indiana Fever did select Justine Pissot. She was a Vanderbilt prospect, but the Indiana Fever also could have taken Napheesa Collier. And Napheesa Collier ended up going to the Connecticut Sun at number 15. Now, do I think Raven Johnson is a superior player than Napheesa Collier? I believe that Raven Johnson does contribute a great deal to a roster, but strictly in terms of how the Fever constructed their squad, Napheesa Collier, I think, would have fit a little more naturally as a puzzle piece than Raven Johnson. Here's what Indiana could have done. Sedona Prince was available at 10. She's 6'5". She has post abilities. She's a legitimate shot blocker. The Atlanta Dream grabbed her at 13, and they're already a physically imposing team. They recognize the value of size in today's WNBA. Or look at what unfolded right after the Fever's selection. Cody McMahon went to Washington at 11. She's 6'3" with shooting range and defensive versatility. Marta Suarez was still on the board. Even Sarah Toena, who eventually went to the Sky, would have made more sense as a bigger wing defender. The Fever had alternatives. They chose the one that didn't address their most significant weakness.
She has some perimeter ability. She can shoot from deep. She's a pretty quality stretch 3-4 shooter, so it does kind of fill a role for the Indiana Fever if she does make the team, because I don't even know who actually will be making this team. But, you know, I think about it and I do wonder about Michaela Timpson. I could actually see Pissot making the Indiana Fever over Michaela Timpson this year. She averaged about 30 minutes a game and came away with 11 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.3 assists a game. Her and Michaela Blakes, and of course their other teammates, did lead the Vanderbilt team to their first Sweet 16.
Now, to be fair to Indiana's front office, they did tackle size in the second round. They selected Justine Pissot from Vanderbilt at number 22. She's 6'4". She can knock down shots from deep. She's a stretch forward with legitimate three-point range. She converted 42% from 3 last season and paced the SEC in made threes. That's a valuable skill set. She helped Vanderbilt reach their first Sweet 16 since 2009. She could absolutely earn a spot on this roster. But here's the issue. Pissett was still available in the second round. You don't burn a lottery pick on a point guard you don't need when you could have grabbed a starting caliber big in the first round and still landed Pissett in the second. That's roster construction negligence, plain and simple.
I knew it. And remember when Mick from Mick Talks Hoops said it was going to be Olivia Miles? I think he did change his mind, but I really wanted him to put a wager down because I knew I was going to win this one. Now, I don't exactly know if that was the best move as far as what they need, but I do think that AZ Fudd is a strong three-point shooter, and I think her familiarity with playing
Contrast what Indiana did with what other franchises accomplished in this draft. The Golden State Valkyries are constructing their roster intelligently. They're looking overseas. They're uncovering value in unexpected places. They brought in a Japanese player to add international versatility. The Washington Mystics went all in on size. They selected Lauren Betts and Dominique Touvier, both of whom bring legitimate interior presence. The Seattle Storm grabbed Reagan Beers at 3, a 19-year-old Spanish prospect with tremendous upside. These franchises have a defined vision. What's Indiana's vision? Because from the outside, it appears they got swept up in the moment. Raven Johnson was still on the board at 10. She carries name recognition. She has a championship ring, and they persuaded themselves it was too good to pass up. But value isn't about who's available. It's about who addresses your needs.